Dr. Tej Maini
Yes.
with us today, the Dean of the International Affairs, Tufts University, School of Medicine. Sir, I'd like to start off this conversation with a question. How can international students get accepted at Tufts University?
Tufts University has 10 hospitals that are affiliated with Tufts Medical School. So the process is very simple. One is your application, and that is outlined in all the elements of the application are outlined in our website, which I've given you. The first thing is medical school grades. You should have respectable grades from medical school. Then you have to do the USMLE examination, and that is in 3 parts. Step 1, you have to have very good scores. Step 2, which is clinical skills and clinical knowledge, you have to get good scores in that. And step 3 after you is in the first or second year of residency in most instances, but some people do it before. Some international medical graduates do it before. So with good scores, at least in step 1, then you have to do something else in order to be considered at a par level with the American medical graduates. So we've started a new program called a research scholarship, which consists of screening, and then we take a large number of candidates, we screen them, and then take some candidates who we consider would be candidates for residency program as well. So this research scholarship is of 2 parts. Number 1 is your research project, and number 2, we also encourage you or tell you and your program director that you will observe the practice. So you have to participate in grand rounds, you participate in morning rounds, you become part of a member of the team, you come to work on time, you leave work beyond time. So in effect it means that you have to impress your program director that you are so good that you can get a good letter of recommendation from the program director to either he will take you in his program, but also write you letters that will allow you to go through the matching program in other residency programs. So in effect, this program gives you an opportunity to work with your peers. You know how to interact with the nurses, you know how to interact with the residency program directors, and you're made.
Okay, so our second question: what is a research scholarship, and how can it help students to get into residency program?
Yeah, I answered you the question, but it's fundamentally gives you an opportunity to learn the American system, because international medical graduates, as opposed to American medical graduates, for them, for the former, if you put them in a clinical PG1 spot, it takes them 3 to 6 months to get used to the system. Systems are different in different countries, and the American system is very different from other countries. So it gives people an opportunity to get acclimatized and acculturated, and then go on.
Is there an important factor in an applicant's application that would get him into the program directly, or strengthen his chances?
Yeah, it really strengthens your chances, because unless you have exceptional scores and you have good interview skills and good curriculum vitae, and that is a very difficult combination to have, it will enhance your application to have that kind of credential of a research scholarship or a master's program. But master's program, we will also insist that you be a member of the clinical team.
And what do you recommend for medical students to focus on when applying for a research program?
So whether you apply for a research program or whether you apply for residency, you have to focus on a proper application. We've given the elements of the application in the Office of International Affairs of Tufts Medical School on the website. But basically it means that you have an excellent personal statement, and the elements of that are described. You have to have a good CV, and that should follow the format of that is used in ERAS. You have to have good scores, and good scores in the Tufts program mean a minimum score of USMLE score of 215. You need good letters of recommendation, preferably also from the research or residency program director in the US, and you should make your interview and your application pretty formal and professional. So once you have that, you add compassion and respect for for your peers, for your nurses, and so on. You can get it, and the sky is the limit.
Okay, well, are there other universities in the U.S. that offer similar programs and scholarships too?
I don't know specifically if somebody offers a scholarship, and I suspect that somebody or the other does. But the bottom line is that we want to help you in the best way possible to get a residency program, and number two, we want to help you succeed in the U.S. in research and residency program. That is our ultimate goal. Our success means you have been successful. If you have failed, we have failed. So it's the two are linked.
Is there anything extra we can do to boost our chances of being accepted in the U.S.?
Like I said before, the first thing is the barrier you've got to overcome is USMLE scores. In part one, they are very important, part one, because it tells me or the residency program director what your foundation for clinical knowledge is. And the clinical knowledge is very important because based on part one, clinical knowledge scores are extremely important. It is wrong to assume that part one is not as important as part two. They are both important, equally important, but they satisfy different criteria. So once you have that, the American medical graduates have an advantage, and understandably so, over international medical graduates because they are part of the American system. We are offering international medical graduates, such as those from the Middle East, to get an advantage, to equalize the disadvantage that occurs, and give you an opportunity to be at par with the American graduates. Because some of the most outstanding physicians in the U.S. are international medical graduates. So they are compassionate, they are empathetic, they are professional. So we want to build on all these qualities.
Okay, tips on choosing a residency program that writes for me.
For you as a person, or for a medical student?
As an applicant.
Yeah, it depends on the program. It depends on your credentials. If it's very unlikely that with decent USMLE scores that you would get into Harvard or Stanford and so on. But it is very possible, very, very possible, it is not impossible for you to get into those places if you've done research, or you can do fellowships in the specialty programs. So it all depends on the individual, what he or she wants to do, because he may not like the weather in Boston, he may like the weather in California, he may not care about New York, you may like New York, and it's a matter of prioritizing. But that is what the match will do, is to equalize every applicant across the board. So once you've impressed your residency program director or your research program director, then he or she will rank you very high, and you also will rank him high. But the match is an equalizer.
Okay, after being accepted, what are the difficulties and challenges a foreign student might face?
The big challenge is that of acculturation. I'm aware that the international medical graduates take time to get used to what I call the American system. They need to understand that you have to be respectful of nurses. Nurses are your biggest allies. So there needs to be a shift in the priorities when you work in a first-rate American hospital. So there are certain priorities such as HIPAA, which pertains to Healthcare Information Privacy and Portability Act, which means you have to be very confidential. You have to get used to using electronic medical records. There's a whole new system you have to get used to. But once it takes time to get used to that, and that is what we are trying to do, is give you an opportunity before your residency starts, and then you're ready to go.
Last question for today. Once the scholarship ends and I got a good recommendation, what happens next?
What happens next is the matching program, the National Residency Matching Program, or NRMP, which has a website, and so it's called a match because it's like a wedding. So the residency program ranks its applicants in a particular order. The resident applicant will rank the programs in a particular order. So then they do a blind match and find out if both are speaking the same language. But it is important to realize that you have a very good chance of matching in the place of your choice, first choice, second choice, third choice, if your letters of recommendation from your residency program director and other faculty are good. It is particularly important to have letters of recommendation from the United States as opposed to here, unless somebody here knows somebody in the U.S., but it's a fair system.
Thank you very much, Dr.
Thank you very much.